How you doing?
I'm good. Long
Y-
time no see.
Yo, I got this what I got. Remember as a kid, these came out with the 45 when he came back.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can see, man. I won that thing out.
Wow.
I just found it the other day in my stuff and I was like, I gotta rock this.
That's what's up. Hey man, much support to
Oh man.
Chicago.
That's how it was, man. That's how it was.
Oh yeah, definitely. How
But
you
you're
been?
you're in a different spot now, man. You're in the heat.
Yeah. It's actually just now about to start, staying in the hundreds now. We've had like a good moment where it was just 70s and stuff, and recently it's been 80s, 90s, and now it's like it's about to be Arizona time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know how you feel, man. I lived in Arizona for a minute, and but I live in southern Utah now, so I'm not,
Mm.
I'm like 8 hour drive from you, but it's the desert, man.
But didn't I see you one time in Arizona?
Yeah, yeah. So I was there from about '09 to 2013, but I came, I traveled around and filmed and stuff.
Right.
My Fest was the first time that I like physically met you and saw you.
My
Uh,
fest.
or not My Fest, Urban Soul.
Urban Soul, yeah,
Urban
in
Soul.
Phoenix, yeah, exactly.
Yep, yep. Urban Soul, ASU. You got B Boy House. You got Saza. That's a
Yep.
that's an event, man. That's a fun event.
Yeah. I used to do that event all the time. That's one of the reasons I moved out here because the organizer of that event,
hmm
Melissa Britt, she
And
used to
Britt,
bring me out all the time to teach Chicago footwork, and then I would come down here with some of my crewmates, and then I actually started a chapter of my crew in Arizona a little bit after that. So
yeah, you
yeah,
got
I like the spot.
my boy Andy, man. He was right up in there with that footwork.
Exactly. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
still part of the crew, man.
that's cool.
Yeah, we were just together right before all of this stuff went down.
Okay,
But he's like I don't know, 20 minutes away from me. I mean, he's still working.
okay.
He's in the hospitals, working. So
Oh man,
yeah,
yeah.
he's a hero right now.
Big respect to him and everybody, in this
Yeah,
time. So, yeah, no,
definitely.
Arizona. I always tell people there's like a few spots: Arizona, Vegas, and Utah. Like Colorado, they're Albuquerque. I mean, there's just a
Yeah,
lot of people that
yeah.
they wanted it for so long. Leia and Ray, they're always bringing people out. I know,
Jukebox,
yeah,
definitely.
jukebox.
Yeah.
So it's cool, man. It's funny. And last time I was talking with B Girl Bonita, who has Stu Dance out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just saying how funny it is that like a lot of Rocksteady crew like had moved to like Vegas and Arizona. And
Yeah, no, that's another reason why I moved here because my homeboy Why Not told me,
there you go.
and I was like, oh, okay, well, if he's out here and he's kind of an inspiration for me, so I was like, yo,
Yeah.
we always chop it up when we run into each other in the world. So yeah, and I also have family out here. I got like some cousins, so me and
Okay.
my lady we moved in with them, so we're good.
Yeah, I noticed it too. I was like, okay, like the setting of everything. I'm like, where does he live? He either lives in Vegas or he lives in Arizona because,
Yeah,
like, yeah, they're all kind
yeah,
of the
yeah.
same. Well,
Yeah, I
cool.
think I would have moved to Vegas if there was a bigger demand for what I do.
Right.
Um, but like over the years, I feel like Arizona was more reaching out, trying to like grow with it more than Vegas was. So
Right.
like, yeah, let me go this direction. But much love to Vegas. I love going
Yeah.
out there.
I know we filmed, man, TJ. We filmed TJ out there before. I don't know if
Oh,
he's
okay.
still out there. Yeah. That was like my first, like, Chicago footwork video that I like when I was, filming. And TJ, he was trying to teach as much as he could out there,
Mm.
but
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah,
how it is, man. Like it's just waves of things. But
yeah,
well, let's start a little bit about going back to South Side Chicago and Little King Charles.
yeah.
What were like
Wow.
your early inspirations? And first of all, man, I just got to say, over all these years, just seeing your persistence and your growth and like seeing you in different environments, man, much respect to what you do.
Oh, appreciate it, man.
For me, who loves footwork and has always kind of grown up with that influence,
Hmm.
um, watching you guys first on ABDC was huge for me. You know,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
it was such an inspiration. I didn't even know what it was called until watching that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the more that I've done and the more that I've seen you, the more I've just like fell in love with it, you know. And
Yeah.
to me, you're on the ranks of the Nicholas brothers,
Wow.
Fred Astaire.
Wow.
You
Appreciate
know,
that,
no,
man.
really, like I feel like, you know, and like Cloud is somebody like that to me who's done
Yeah.
B-Boy Cloud, what he's done, and I think you're only at the beginning of what you're going to do in terms of creation and whatever projects you have. So,
I
just
feel
want
that
to
same
start
way.
off and fanboy, you know that. But really
Appreciate
though,
it,
man,
man.
it's definitely inspired me, and definitely seeing you know, your work all around the world with creation.
Yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, we'll get into that. But so yeah, just talk about a little bit with growing up in Chicago, your influences, and how you
Yeah.
kind of eventually got to Footwork.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always start by letting people know that I grew up in a household of musicians. Um, Even my grandparents were in the music business. And then they kind of slowed down when they had family, but then they kind of forced their kids to push and choose something to do in music. And
Okay.
then that same thing happened to us. And I think I was the one who really wanted to just like focus in on it. And so I was always writing rhymes or practicing my vocals because my dad made me sing, or dancing because every holiday we always had to dance at barbecues or whatever.
Yeah.
So um, but that was all before I turned 14. By the time I turned
No.
14, I saw Chicago Footwork for the first time at a talent show in Chicago,
Okay.
and it was different students from each grade level kind of representing and doing some footwork, and I didn't know what that was, but it changed my life after that. I pretty much jumped headfirst and like went to all the juke parties, and then just like found out that this was a crew culture. It's not like a solo thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you got to click up, you got to join with some people. And so then I was trying to join different groups, and I ended up winning a competition called the King of the Circle.
Okay.
And that's where the whole King name came from. But
Okay.
it was given to me in more of a joking manner, like because I was 15 and I wasn't supposed to win that battle. Most of my teachers was in that same battle,
Okay.
but it was crowd decision, and I think people, maybe they thought I was cute. I don't know, but
You won
yeah,
it though, man. You repped.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I won, but like I didn't want to use that King name, and
Okay.
so then I felt like I needed to train to like protect myself because everybody was battling me because they thought I was calling myself King Charles, and
Okay.
I wasn't. So I was like, nah, that's not me. But they pushed me to be a better footworker, and then I entered again a few years later, and then I won fair and square against the same guy that inspired me to start doing footwork in the first place. So
Okay.
um, and I still wasn't calling myself King Charles until I got a manager who was like,
Word.
you should take ownership of that name because of everything you've done in Chicago.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Lady Soul. She was the owner of Footwear Kings,
Okay. What
and
year? How old were you when that kind of was like, okay, King Charles?
King. Oh man, I want to say 1920. So I started footworking when I was about
Okay.
14, 15, and then 19 years old, 20 years old. I actually started doing media training on cameras, and like I had to choose a name to label myself as. So
Right.
yeah, so that started happening in 106 in Park. We were doing all that stuff. So
Oh yeah.
we really had to like start to try to be professional. We were the first in our culture of our generation to really like try to be professional with Chicago footwork and see where we can take it. But it was
Okay.
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
And I've noticed that with you too, because I just like in how you're organizing everything, even looking at your website, man, I'm like, you have it, you know, like
Oh,
you have
appreciate
it
it, man.
down, and you have the presentation, and you know, there's definitely the aspect that dancers need to understand. I'm sure you teach that not only with those
Definitely.
that are like leaderships you got with creation, but so what, like, I guess what years were you in Chicago? Like, how old are you?
I'll be 34 this year.
Okay, so we're kind of around the same age. I'm
Yeah.
37. So
Oh, okay.
so you grew up with a lot of influence in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that are growing up right now, they don't really understand the true influence because obviously I'm
Yeah.
rocking the Jordan hat and but it wasn't even just that. There was just there was such a separation compared to like a New York. There you
Right.
go. Oh, so you're a Cubs fan?
No, no, I'm a
Oh,
Chicago fan.
okay.
I represent everybody. You know what
I
I
was gonna
mean?
say you might have some Chicago people on here, man. But yeah, I always remember growing up with like the East Coast family. You got like Bill Bev DeVoe, and so you
Right.
had like those influences, and I think there isn't quite that influence, but Chicago is still influencing to this day with like Chance the Rapper, Common,
Yeah,
Kanye,
definitely.
and not just that, just the whole culture of
Yeah,
like the NBA and what Michael did.
yeah.
Um,
I
so
found out, I was doing some research one day and I was like, who's, who, like, what famous people are from Chicago from,
mhm.
the history books? I can't remember everybody right now, but the one that I think stuck out of my head the most was Walt Disney.
Yeah.
He's from the outskirts of Chicago area. I was like, Walt Disney? Are you serious? Like, and then
Telling you, man.
and then I always used to like go back and forth with people from the West Coast and the East Coast who weren't really educated on the truth about or the origin about Soul Train or
Okay.
house music.
Okay.
And house music, I had some support from some of the OGs in New York who would like let people know when I started coming around, like, yeah, house music started in Chicago, like the actual place.
The warehouse, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so, I don't get that many people disputing that anymore, but like a lot of people were surprised when I said Soul Train also started in Chicago.
I didn't
Um,
know that. See,
yeah,
that's dope.
yeah. It was a local television show, Don
Okay.
Cornelius, and it got picked up by a TV company in Los Angeles to become something bigger. And then
Nice.
that's when they they had dancers on there like Pop and Pete. And I even talked to Pete about it, and he told me, that it was true, So I was like, okay, this was before my time. I needed to make sure that I was, telling the right information. So yeah, we
For
got a lot
sure.
of history.
That's cool, man. Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people, and people are always kind of rocking the Chicago because of obviously what Michael did
Facts.
for the town and stuff. But to really truly understand that history is so important,
Yeah.
um, and to learn from it and to evolve from it. And so, like I said before, I've seen you been able to put Chicago on your back, and like you are one of those representatives, man. As much as Chance, as much as Kanye, as much as Common,
Mhm.
because dance is so important. It's
Yeah.
such a complementary. With like you said, you grew up in a house full of musicians,
Right.
and it's the fingerprint of the soul, music and dance. Universal language.
No, we're visual musicians. You
Yeah,
know, that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like,
visual musicians. I
we're
like that.
visual musicians, man. So
Yeah.
we have to be able to translate, what we're listening to, so that people can kind of feel the music through us while they're watching. So
Yeah.
yeah, like we gotta create that bridge, that connection. People can't just like go through life and just feel like, okay, I love this song, but what am I supposed to do to it? Maybe I'm supposed to just stand still and just listen. No,
Right.
no. So
Yeah.
we help people feel good, especially with courage too,
Yeah.
because there's so many people scared to dance,
Mm.
because they feel like they're gonna look stupid. That's the number one thing I always hear when I train somebody in the
Yeah.
beginning. They're like, "Man, I look stupid. I don't look like you."
It's not meant to
Like,
be.
it's not meant to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, talk a little bit just about Chicago footwork in general. So, what generation did you come in, and like how did it start? Like, what were kind of the roots, just so people can kind of understand.
Okay. So just to throw this out there, I'm not the creator of Chicago Footwork for anybody that's watching. What's up, Kelly? I see a couple people on here. I
Yes,
didn't even look at
somebody
this.
asked about Rich Central or Markham Skating.
Oh my God! Somebody just said Rich Central on here. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
J
Yo,
Life, we got J Life.
shouts out to J Life. Yeah, I went to Rich Central High School.
J.
Um, I went to 4 high schools. Rich Central had a very big impact in my life.
Okay.
So back to what I was saying. I'm third generation of Chicago Footwork.
Okay.
So I have teachers, and then my teachers have teachers, which goes all the way back to the '80s.
Wow.
One of my teachers is from a group called Houseomatic, and they are a group that was dancing in the '80s and the '90s, and they actually, if I'm not mistaken, started in '79
Okay.
before a lot of things was going down. But yeah, so I didn't start Chicago Footwork, and we don't really know. There's always an argue about if there was one person that started it, which in
Okay.
my information it wasn't. It was a couple people,
Multiple
um,
people. Yeah.
but it wasn't from the South Side. I was told it was from the West Side of Chicago,
Interesting. Okay.
and then it merged over to the South Side and kind of just blew up from there. It's always been this thing between the South and the West, and then the
That's how it
North.
is in every city, right? Yeah, there's always high schools and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So and then the thing I will take credit for from my generation is that our generation is the generation of the beginning of YouTube, Facebook,
Okay.
and so we had a few different opportunities that the generations before us didn't have to really expand and try to like get other people outside of Chicago to know about this. I mean, the Midwest knew about it.
Hmm.
Indiana, Minnesota, Detroit, they knew about it,
Okay.
but outside of the Midwest, it was our chance. So we got blessed to have management, and people that could mold us, and then we started doing television commercials and
Yeah. Blowing
touring.
up everywhere, man. You went everywhere.
Yeah, I remember that the what you were watching in the beginning of this
Yeah.
ABDC. I was watching that one in Chicago, but I was actually packing my bags. I wasn't on the show because me and Prince J-Ron were packing our bags right after the Madonna tour
Oh,
to
interesting.
move and drive 33 hours to Los Angeles. That's why we couldn't go. So by the time we got to Los Angeles, they made it to the next round. And then my boy, Kel Mitchell, from Nickelodeon, all that,
Oh.
he hit me up, and we met up, and we went up there together in the audience to watch the next round of that competition. So yeah, that was a really big moment for us. Like, they did really, really awesome. RIP Kendall too, because one of the
Mm.
guys in the crew, he passed away like 5 years ago. So
Oh, I'm sorry to hear, man.
no, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
good.
Always honor him. So yeah. Kel
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell, that's funny, man, because growing up, I think he was a host of Dance 360.
Really?
There was a show that like it was 2003 or something. It might have been in high school or just after high school. It was like that Wade Robson Project era. Like You Got Served came out,
Right,
and it
right,
was just
right.
kind of like a local TV station, but it broadcast all throughout California and Arizona, um, and it was called Dance 360, and that's the first time I saw Twitch on it. It's
Oh,
the first
Twitch,
time
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw Mad Chad. Mad Chad had like
yeah.
hair, like.
That's crazy.
But it was like a wild show, man. Like people
Yes.
just jump out of the crowd and just start battling each other, and
Wow. Yeah, man.
yeah.
No, the
And
whole
Kel was the host. I remember.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
met Kel because I did a movie with him in Chicago called
Mm,
Hands Food, which was directed by Cedric the Entertainer, and
okay.
he was the star of the movie, Kel, and I was super hyped because I've been a fan of him since I was a kid,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then
Who
and
hasn't? All that. Yeah.
when I ran into him, I thought I was gonna be the one that was like hyped, but he
Yeah.
was more hyped than me, and I was like, "How do you know me, dude?" He's like, "Dude, I love Chicago Footwork, blah blah blah," and I found out he's from Chicago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he's from
Dang,
Chicago,
man.
And then so I started training him in Chicago Footwork, and we became friends after that. And yeah, and he was hosting. He was still hosting after that 360 thing,
Okay.
because he went to he moved to LA, and he was doing stuff in Compton or Carson, California,
Okay.
for the jerkers, the turfers,
Uh,
the the people doing like the reject and you know, that era, the
okay.
all the
Yeah, yeah,
jerking
yeah.
competitions. So he was doing that, and
I
we would
remember
come
that.
and support. So yeah, he's always been in with the dance.
Yeah, I've never seen him at an event. I think I've heard of people seeing him at a couple events or something. You know, there's like Will I Am will show up or
Yeah,
Omarion or
right,
you know,
right,
there's all these random people that just come in. You're like, what's going? I think Chris Brown's even shown up, but yeah,
right,
I
right.
remember. I think it was the first Keep on Dancing KOD that I went to was like 2012,
uh
and that was like the last event that anybody saw jerking because it wasn't as successful. We'll just say that much
yeah, yeah, yeah,
among all these other dances, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, I remember like the cruise and stuff like that. So that's interesting that he was involved
right,
in those kind of things. So
yeah.
um, yeah, we got Ant on here.
Oh, we got
Yeah,
Ant. What's going on, Ant?
yeah. Artifact Clothing. What's up?
Hey, yeah, life. I know yeah, life. What's going on, yeah? Let me see
Yeah,
who.
we got quite a few people coming in and out.
That's what's
So
up. That's what's up.
yeah, so as far as kind of taking it globally, I guess. Well, actually, let's go back. So I was showing the C2C Happy video, which is
Right.
definitely one of my like highlights. Was that before or after Madonna, or what was kind of like your first like jump into the industry, and you're like mind blown, like okay, this is about to get heavy.
Actually, it was 2007 October 2nd, the day before my birthday,
Okay,
and I got asked by some of Missy Elliott's dancers from Chicago, Blair, who's actually one of the artists on Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out show.
okay,
She hit me up and was like, "Hey, we got a little quick spontaneous audition. One of the dancers for Missy got sick right before the VH1 Hip Hop Honors, and we need a replacement, someone who can do choreo and do Chicago footwork." So it was
oh,
me and another guy, Reggie, actually. He's more of an OG of Chicago footwork from the West Side. And we auditioned, and they chose me. And then, so I spent my 21st birthday rehearsing with Sierra and a few other people in New York City under choreography from Hi Hat. And then
okay,
the next day, we got on stage, and it was a tribute performance for Missy and a bunch of other artists. And it was like, it blew my
wow,
mind. I was like, yo, because, and it wasn't, and that was crazy. But then I went in the audience just to watch the show,
yeah,
and Buster came out, and I've never been to a Buster performance before.
yeah, yeah.
And he hit these, and he came out with these bars. He came out real low with the mic. He was like, "As I combine all the juice from my mind, pick up, no, rewind," and like everyone just
One
went
just yeah.
crazy. So
Scenario, man. Tribe Called Quest, Busta.
yeah. So
Dang,
it was
man.
too crazy, and then I started realizing that my life is really about to like go up. I can't let this go. This can't be my last gig. So then I did a Verizon Wireless commercial not too long after that.
Okay.
And that's when I realized that residuals are a real thing. And,
Yep.
and then
Commercials are where it's at, man.
and then I was like, wow. And then a little bit after that, well, I did Rolling Stone magazine too. It just started flowing because of my management. You
Cool.
know, she Lady Soul, and I have to rewind just real quick. I have to give a shout out to Ryan and Kiana, who were my first management. They ran a company called Shytainment, and they actually were the people who got us on MTV My Block with Sway. Shouts out to Sway
Oh,
in 2005, and then B6106 in Park, Wild 'N Out Wednesday. We won the whole thing in
oh.
2006. Then came '07, and then Verizon, and then Madonna. That's when my life, after Madonna, my life just
Flipped.
Like I don't even like, dude. I didn't even dress like this. I had braids. Like I wore 5X everything, you know, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, after that, like, because we were on tour with her for 2 years. We were literally on tour
Wow.
down the street from Michael's rehearsals when he was doing This Is It in London. This
Yeah.
right when he left to go to meet with his doctor in '09. Like we were on tour when Obama became president. Like it
There was
was
a lot,
it was a
a
lot, bro. It was
lot
a crazy
happening.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.